In the 1920s, African American culture began to flourish in Harlem, New York. It redefined African American expression in literature, art, music, dance, and social commentary. African Americans were encouraged to celebrate their heritage. Never before had so many Americans read the thoughts of African American and embraced the African American community's productions, expressions, and style. This movement became known as the Harlem Renaissance, and it transformed African American identity and history.
Hey there. You know what the Harlem Renaissance is? Well, you know what I'm gonna teach you. It's better than heaven. Let's go. This is the Harlem Renaissance, an African-American movement of art and singing songs and jazz music. It's a time of ideas and poetry when people started noticing the advancements musically and socially. It took place in Harlem, a neighborhood in New York. In the 1920s, when blacks moved north after the First War to find jobs and opportunities, trying to forever outlaw lynches in communities. The NAACP heavily influenced politics and made sense of all the nonsense. The Harlem Renaissance united African Americans and gave birth to many famous musicians such as Louis Armstrong, who played the trumpet, or Ella Fitzgerald, who sung hits. From Duke Ellington to Count Basie, from Fletcher Henderson to Dizzy Gillespie. Because before the Renaissance it was war and evil, racism and discrimination of all colored people. It was hard for black families to make money and survive, but after the Renaissance they could conjure up a dime. And it ended in the 30s when the Great Depression grew, which was the point of turning that threw the movement askew. But it still led the way for many black poets and artists who continue to guide people through common hardships. Yep. That's it. I go by the name of Signature. Look me up somewhere. I'm done.
So, the main thing I took from the Harlem Renaissance and what I based my project off of was acceptance and kind of optimism. And it's not that the Harlem Renaissance was a tremendous showing of optimism and acceptance, because, you know, there's still a lot of racism going on and still a lot of just bad stuff, but compared to you know, the Civil War time and slavery, this was the first kind of highlights that African Americans had. And so that in itself gave them a lot of optimism, and today we wouldn't say they were accepting and they were open to all races, but as opposed to before, it was a new era of acceptance and optimism, and it was quite a new time. You like that? A new time? So the pieces I'll show to you today are ones that show acceptance, that show optimism, and that hopefully kind of give you a bit of the lighter side of the Harlem Renaissance as opposed to all the negatives that were swirling around that time period. This is our comrade, Marvin Mannheimer. He's German.
He's also Jewish. And Langston Hughes fought for equality among all races. So sad. So touching. Oh, by golly, I did not see you there. While I have your attention, I would love to read you a poem. Actually, this is one of my personal favorites. I Dream a World by Langston Hughes. But first, before I read to you, I must put little Junior safely into bed. Well, let's see. I dream a world where no other man will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its path adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, nor avarice blight our day. A world I dream where black or white, whatever race you be, will share the bounties of the earth and every man is free. Where wretchedness will hang its head and joy like a pearl attends the need of all mankind. Of such a dream, my world. Now, this this poem has a really deep meaning. Thank you for listening to my story.
In this presentation, we've used such words as happiness and optimism, which are quite hard to understand. So, I wanted to show you happiness. But like all things, happiness is best shared. Inventory, count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hello again and welcome. I'm Dr. Johnson, and these are my colleagues, Dr. Brown and Dr. Rosencrantz. Actually, that would be a medical doctor of humanistic, societal, and behavioral problems in 18th century Aborigines, PhD, Esquire. My apologies. Let us continue. Of course. What is the secret of human happiness and fulfillment? Is it medicine? Or is it me?
That's why we are here with our black fellow friend here.
This red-blooded American, that is.
Black, also.
Yes, and we like to break the racial divides, and we don't recognize skin color. I don't look at him, and I don't look at him and think he's an African American. I look at him and think he's
Africa.
I think he's a man who loves his teddy bear. And I look at my Canadian colleague, and I think he's a man who looks fantastic in a bow tie.
Teddy bear.
Yes, thank you. And any words, Mr. Brown?
I just have to say, I really love men of all colors. I mean, this is a great...
And women, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This is our good friend, Ben Lee.